trying to finish fights, and that's it! That's it! It's over!
I've talked about it on the air.
He's out! It's over!
So often we see the very technical Machida, and he hurt him.
This is going to be over.
Lyoto Machida!
We've heard for years that karate doesn't work in MMA. Then Lyoto Machida came along and proved otherwise.
Shot's in big trouble! He got rocked! Oh, another shot! He's getting teed off on! He's down!
Performing in the most competitive arenas around the world for over 20 years, the Brazilian Dragon has earned a reputation of a cold-blooded samurai, stalking up a collection of unique knockouts. It's time to recollect the story about the Shotokan karate master who defied expectations and took the UFC championship belt. Lyoto is the third son of the famous karate practitioner UFC Machida. The future clan founder was 22 years old when he moved to Brazil from the land of the rising sun. In the new country, the immigrant traveled to different cities, teaching martial arts to local people. When my father arrived in Brazil, he did not know the language. He had nothing but one suitcase full of clothes and a desire to spread karate. He dedicated his life to it. Yoshizo married a local girl who bore him 4 sons. Soon the master settled in the city of Belém and opened an academy. As soon as the brothers could walk, the father began to indulge them in the Japanese combat style. I started in martial arts when I was 3 or 4 years old. My father's main concern was to introduce us to the philosophical side of the fight, not to become a proper athlete, but a concern with forming an upstanding citizen. The regimen at Machida's academy was strict. Each class started at 5 a.m. These were tough conditions, and the atmosphere of absolute discipline tempered the youth. My father was very demanding with us. I complained that I didn't want to get up at 5 a.m., and he would say, above all, you must first beat yourself. At the age of 13, Lyoto received a black belt and started to compete. He defeated all the peers, yet was powerless against the older brother, Shinzo. The youngster spent 4 years trying to defeat his sibling, and when that day came, made a decision to dedicate his life to martial arts. Lyoto participated in many national tournaments. Being a devoted follower of karate, over time, he got involved in other fighting disciplines. Behind his father's back, the son explored new techniques. When I was 15 years old, I watched the UFC for the first time. I already started training jiu-jitsu and wanted to learn other styles, so I can someday compete in an event like this. Back then, Royce Gracie was shining in the octagon, defeating rivals despite being moderately sized. When Lyoto expressed the desire to compete in MMA to his father, the old master was strongly opposed to it. He considered brawling in a cage an abomination that had nothing to do with martial arts. However, the future star insisted on his wishes, regardless of Dad's disapproval. When Yoshizo accepted that Lyoto really wanted to be a fighter, he decided to introduce his son to an old friend, Antonio Inoki. The legendary Japanese pro wrestler who fought the great Muhammad Ali under a hybrid rule set in 1976 was engaged in promotional activities in the early 2000s. Soon, Machida moved to Japan, where the preparation began for his MMA debut under the new patron's guidance. For the next 3 years, Lyoto wandered around different cities in Japan, diligently developing his style. When the Brazilian was ready, Antonio Inoki set him up to participate at a major Ultimate Crush event. The 220-pound karate adherent appeared in the arena wearing an extravagant attire, chosen by creative Japanese managers. Back then, Lyoto was reluctant to use his family craft in the ring, leaning more into his wrestling instead. He dominated throughout the contest, leaving no chance for the opponent. Having won by unanimous decision, Machida received a trademark congratulation from the great mentor. The legend goes that when Antonio Inoki slaps a fighter, he becomes more successful. But then I did not know about it at all. Later, when everything was explained to me, I told him, "You could hit me in the face as much as you like." Following a successful debut, the 25-year-old Lyoto performed at a jungle fight event. crossing paths with the future TUF Season 1 finalist, Stephan Bonnar.
An amazing, nice guy.
This time, the prospect was completely focused on karate. The Brazilian calmly kept his distance, occasionally exploding with sharp attacks.
So fast, but you can see how he stands. Oh, Bonnar then went up for a kick to the midsection and paid for it.
Bonnar tried to return the favor. Even so, the skill gap was too wide.
Against the corner, got to get him into the ropes. Another left lands and drops Bonnar.
Over 5 minutes, Machida rearranged the opponent's face to such an extent that the doctors intervened and stopped the contest.
Oh my goodness. That's a good stoppage. That's just dangerous for the fighter. That's a really good stop.
In December 2003, Lyoto returned to Japan to share the ring with Rich Franklin. The future UFC title holder was on a streak of 14 finishes in a row and had never tasted defeat at the professional level. Machida was working the body and the head. Franklin tried to seize the initiative, but the karate expert was merciless on the counter. After another intercepting cross, he finished the bout with a classic combination Maegiri Gyakuzuki. With 3 victories in quick succession, Lyoto got a fight at the prestigious K1 tournament. The kickboxing world champion Michael McDonald, who had just made his MMA debut, volunteered to oppose the traditional martial art expert. In the first minute, Machida closed the distance and slammed the American to the floor. Subsequent to a short struggle, he applied heavy pressure from top half guard and pressed his forearm into the opponent's throat. In May 2004, the young upstart met the karate world champion and K1 legend, Sam Greco. Despite the size and experience disadvantage, Machida looked decent on the feet and swayed the judges in his favor by implementing grappling. A year later, he fought the wandering UFC 170-pound king, BJ Penn, who at that time held a record of 9-1. In the first round, Penn found the mark with signature hooks. But faded quickly, which the Brazilian capitalized on, winning by unanimous decision. Soon, Machida was on his way to the States for a new career chapter. The former local league champion Vernon White welcomed him. Lyoto was 1 step ahead for 3 rounds, taking a unanimous decision.
Oh, man, he walked right into a left hand by Machida. And White, oh, look at this. Oh, that was a beautiful...
6 months later, in 2006, the organization was purchased by the UFC. And so, at the age of 28, the Brazilian found himself on the Ultimate Promotions roster. When Machida first appeared in the UFC, many doubted the effectiveness of karate, and some went so far as to say that the traditional martial arts representatives were doomed in modern MMA. Therefore, the Dragon, as the Brazilian was called in America, had to not only realize personal ambitions in the octagon, but also prove the viability of his father's teachings. Lyoto joined the light heavyweight division and kicked off the journey to the top. During the first 8 months on the biggest scene, he scored 3 straight wins, displaying immaculate distance control.
And he caught him again.
And spearing attacks.
More than anything else.
Yeah, he looks very frustrated.
There's another left. Trying to get the knee. Got 1, got 2, got 3, got 4, 5, 6, 7. Knees from Machida. Goes he.
Having asserted himself, Machida entered the title race and got a big noise opponent, none other than Sokuju. Nicknamed as the African Killer, he possessed monstrous power and was famous for a series of jaw-dropping upsets in Pride FC. He was a guy that everyone was afraid of because he had knocked out Ricardo Arona and Minotauro Nogueira.
Here we go.
However, when push came to shove, the explosive Cameroonian had nothing for the cold-blooded sniper.
High kick. Oh, good. But Joe, as you pointed out, a lot of
He got caught. Sokuju got caught.
And now Machida trying to take advantage.
After futile attempts to finish the opponent with ground and pound, the Dragon passed to side control and squeezed the vice of the arm triangle.
The juice going to sleep.
It is all over.
Now, the Brazilian was swimming with the great white sharks. The former champion Tito Ortiz was recovering from the loss of his belt and desperately wanted to get back on the right track.
Here we go.
Machida was moving around the cage nonchalantly, throwing snappy kicks.
Straight left hand. Oh!
His first win since October of 2006. Machida
good body
again with an
kick.
attack.
And even managed to take Ortiz down.
He takes down Ortiz.
In the third round, the Karate Kid delivered a piercing knee to the liver
Ortiz is down.
and chased a finish.
Finish it. Machida pounding away on Tito Ortiz.
Nevertheless, the bad guy recovered quickly and attempted a triangle armbar with 30 seconds left.
Triangle! Unbelievable!
30 seconds remains. Can he finish it? 25 seconds remains.
Lyoto showed resiliency and made it to the bell for a decision win.
I wish this was a 5-rounder.
What a battle.
Following this success, people finally respected his style. Dana White pointed out that the Dragon would become extremely difficult for anyone to hit. With a record of 13-0, he entered a title eliminator against the audacious and unbeaten Thiago Silva. Also an owner of 13 victories in a row, he was considered as one of the brightest prospects in MMA.
You ready? Fight!
From the word go, Thiago stepped on the gas, trying to impose back-and-forth exchanges. But Machida stopped the onslaught with brilliant counterattacks.
Nice body kick by
done.
Machida.
And during the next 3 minutes, the Dragon sent the opponent to the canvas several times.
Chase guys down and wear them out, but big left hook by Machida.
A lot, Joe, you and I've talked about it on the air. Again with a nice combination.
Yet Silva would not stay down. The last seconds of the initial stretch were about to expire when Lyoto finally put an end to the confrontation.
And give you the opportunity to prepare what he throws at you.
Thiago's out. It's over.
And it's all over. This fight has been stopped.
Watch as he passes. Boom. Right through. It's
A picture-perfect work by the virtuoso secured a shot at the belt. Back in those days, Rashad Evans was the king of the UFC light heavyweight mountain. Sugar wielded devastating power and held an unblemished record. It was a historic fight for the promotion, the first time two undefeated athletes collided for the crown.
Here we go.
Both fighters spent the opening couple minutes feeling each other out, until Lyoto blasted the signature karate special.
many styles. Taekwondo. Oh! He got hurt.
Machida looking to close it out. Machida's all over Rashad here.
The champion made it to the next round, but things only got worse from there.
Oh, big quick hands. But Rashad fires back.
Machida patiently waited for an opportunity before bursting with a same-time counter.
See in say K1 or in professional boxing. Oh,
Rashad's in big trouble. He got rocked.
And completing the task at hand.
Rashad trying to regain his consciousness. That one he took in the body. Oh, another shot.
He's getting teed off on.
He's down.
He's
And it's all over.
And here's the straight left hand, excuse me.
One of the most memorable knockouts in UFC history won the Dragon the coveted gold,
Gamely hanging in there, that final left just shuts the lights out.
and gifted the legendary Rashad face meme to the community. It was the culmination for me. I am the new champion. All the trajectory in my life was going through my head at that moment. I could look back and see that it was all worth it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Machida era.
The first to dispute Lyoto's claim to the throne was the former Pride Grand Prix conqueror, Mauricio Hua. Shogun was predominantly leading the dance, investing into powerful kicks. Machida relied on his counterpunching and clinch work, exploding with flurries once in a while.
Nice knees to the body by Machida.
Joe's taken away from his offense.
Again with that leg
Here we
kick.
go. Lyoto Machida now swinging away. History coming into tonight.
Nice knee.
The confrontation lasted all 5 rounds in this manner, culminating in a razor-thin decision victory for the defending king.
This title fight.
The result caused a great deal of controversy, and the promotion decided to set up a rematch. Despite suffering a broken arm during the training camp, the Dragon refused to pull out of the contest.
Here we go!
Many expected another chess match, only to be shocked in the opening round.
And that could nice knee to the body. Oh, he got rocked. Showed with the full out. He's the new UFC light heavyweight champion. As soon as he got the full mount, Lyoto was in deep, deep trouble, and there he's out.
Machida fell short for the first time and lost the title. I trained hard for this fight, but I lost. This is the essence of MMA. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose. I have no excuses. He was better than me and deserved the victory. Lyoto was shaken up by this setback, although the one who got the most affected by it was the old master Yoshizo. Being extremely concerned about the health consequences, he suggested a retirement from MMA. Even though the son understood his father's worries well, the response was a firm no nonetheless.
Here we go!
Lyoto reappeared in the octagon 6 months afterwards to face a former champion, Quinton Jackson. The first 10 minutes were uneventful. In the 3rd round, the Brazilian found the mark with a patented intercepting combo.
He got rocked. Machida swarming in. Big kick and the knee. Rampage explodes in return. Wow!
Rampage responded with an attempt to repeat the legendary slam.
Rampage Jackson special. They're back to their feet.
The judges awarded the split decision victory to the American, while most fans saw it the other way around. Even Jackson himself admitted defeat.
Machida whooped my ass tonight. I'm so ashamed of myself. My coach is gonna get mad at me.
When fighters come back from a knockout, they start fighting differently. But I was still the same. I wanted to keep it standing and had belief in my karate. In April 2011, Machida was presented with an opportunity to retire the multiple-time UFC title holder Randy Couture, who had won 3 scraps back-to-back at 47 years old and was still in the hunt for the crown.
We go!
Captain America tried to apply pressure. Lyoto's counters were on point.
Distance. Ryan in his corner tonight. Ryan, a mixed martial artist himself. An outstanding one.
By confusing the veteran with trickery, the Dragon lived up to the moniker.
Oh my goodness! It is all over! Oh my God! Wow! No can defend. Look at that. Brilliant. Right on the chin, and Randy goes down.
Nidangiri, a picturesque jumping front kick, sent Couture packing and his tooth flying. Another masterpiece from the Brazilian that forever entered the hit parade of the best knockouts in UFC history.
Oh my goodness!
Following this success, Machida proceeded to challenge for the ultimate prize. At that point, the strap was wrapped around the waist of the young John Jones, who violently took it from Shogun Rua and then annihilated Rampage.
And he's going to do that again.
Relaxed as always, Lyoto looked great at the outset, closing the distance with lightning speed and splitting the counterpart's timing. He was faster and more accurate, becoming the first to win a round against Jones in the octagon.
Oh! Pushing forward again is Machida. Decided to try to take this fight to the ground. Good kick to the body.
Like any good champion, John Jones figured he can't fight me standing. In the next round, he took me to the ground and cut me up with an elbow. The blood began to pour into my eyes, and I was seeing 3 Joneses at once. After the intermission, the champion started advancing boldly and caught the Dragon coming in.
When he uses wrestling.
John dragged the Brazilian to the cage and clamped on a high elbow guillotine.
Trying to finish this fight.
The only salvation was the referee intervention.
He makes it. It is all over. It is all over. Wow. John Jones remains.
Subsequent to a failed attempt to regain the title, 34-year-old Machida moved to the US to get out of the comfort zone and change the training environment. The next obstacle was an accomplished wrestler, Ryan Bader, with a 14-2 record.
Scheduled for 5-minute rounds.
Lyoto was floating around the octagon in the usual stance, wielding his favorite Maigiris.
See the And when he gets loose, he can be...
Frustrated Bader charged forward and paid a heavy price.
me on the Ultimate Fighter again. Pushing it forward. That's it. And it is all over. That is the problem.
Kyakuzuki, the classic short straight punch from karate, secured the 5th UFC finish for Lyoto and handed Bader the first career knockout loss.
Placement, perfect timing.
Simple and effective.
Fighter again, pushing it forward.
In February 2013, Machida was set to collide with the former Pride and Strikeforce champion, Dan Henderson. Hendo came to the UFC riding a wave of victory over Fyodor and had not lost in 3 years.
Underway.
He immediately tried to land the patented H-bomb. The Karate Kid was elusive.
Of Lyoto. And Dan clinches him.
And even executed beautiful trips from the clinch.
Look at this. Lyoto takes Dan down. Oh, big shot by Lyoto.
Lyoto kept the veteran at bay using his signature kicks.
Powerful shot to the body. A lot of feints. Oh, jumping front kick to the face. Oh, high kick.
As a result, the lackluster bout went to a decision, and the judges sided with the Brazilian. He reclaimed the #1 spot in the rankings, and instead of waiting for a title shot, accepted a fight with the 7th-ranked rising contender, Phil Davis.
And here we go!
Nice right leg kick.
Answered in a great combination.
Machida was successful in the beginning. However, having witnessed the Dragon's striking arsenal, Davis promptly decided to switch to wrestling.
Get the takedown, yes. Brazil. Lyoto wanted to push forward and they clinch.
Great job by Machida.
Machida with a big right hand.
Another beautiful right hand. Let's see if Phil can finish it. He does.
Lyoto came back in the 3rd round, banking the closing 5 minutes, but the judges turned away from him this time.
Mr. Wonderful!
After suffering yet another defeat, the Brazilian entertained the idea of dropping down in weight class. In recent bouts, he looked much smaller than his opponents, who overwhelmed him with size, so a decision was made to storm the 185-pound division. The UFC matched him up against a teammate, the #5-ranked Mark Munoz. They headlined an event in England.
They touch gloves and we are underway.
For more than 3 minutes, the Dragon lulled Munoz to sleep with feints in order to get the job done with a single blow.
Output and trying to finish fights, and that's it! That's it! It's over! Just like that! You just nailed it! That Machida carries, especially in the middleweight division, right through.
Mawashi Giri Jadan, a traditional karate kick, was powerful enough to break through the Mexican's block. Machida saw the opportunity to pounce, and being a true martial artist, preferred to refrain.
Moving for the kill and decided not to.
Now firmly in the top 5, Lyoto clashed with the former Strikeforce and Dream champion, Gegard Mousasi, for the #1 contender status. The Brazilian stayed out of the rival's range, inflicting damage with powerful kicks.
Big kick for Machida! Unexpected flurries from Lyoto Machida. Oh, beautifully done. Mousasi kind of abandoned.
By the late rounds, the karate practitioner entered a flow state, showcasing the whole deadly toolbox.
There's a little sit. Big knee there. Well, Mousasi has had his moments. Nice right hand from Machida.
Machida reigned supreme by unanimous decision and earned another title opportunity at the age of 36. The UFC middleweight ruler at the time was the undefeated Chris Weidman, who had recently shocked the world by knocking out the longtime king, Anderson Silva.
We are underway.
From the opening seconds, the American mixed up strikes with takedowns.
Lyoto's got to up. There's the shot again. Just past the midway point of this title fight.
He applied constant pressure, preventing the challenger from finding the right beat.
And down again.
The bout reached the championship rounds. Many have already written off the bleeding Lyoto, but it was at this moment when the Dragon spread his wings.
Good left hook by Lyoto.
Machida became more aggressive, trying to starch the opponent with every punch.
Machida again. Machida tagged him again. Weidman's hurt. We got ourselves a fight. Wow. A lot of support for the Brazilian.
Exhausted, he kept trying to finish the All-American till the very end, but time was of the essence.
Trying to pull off a miracle. By Machida. 8 seconds. Machida firing away!
The judges unanimously awarded the win to Weidman. That evening, Lyoto was as close as ever to recapturing the throne, yet he was classy in defeat.
What a fight!
Following a misstep, the Brazilian got back into action against CB Dalloway, who had won 4 of the last 5. It took the Dragon 1 minute to get the rival out of there.
So often we see the very technical Machida, and he hurt him. Early body shot by Machida. Dalloway in all sorts of trouble. Lyoto Machida! How about it?
Mawashi Giri Chudan, a body kick right to the liver, folded the American in half. Another knockout from Machida, and the 8th post-fight bonus. This victory reinstated him in the title conversation. But then a really rough patch began in the 37-year-old Lyoto's journey. He suffered 3 losses in a row against the new elite of the middleweight division.
From Romero, huge elbows! That's it! Yoel Romero!
Rumors of retirement started to go around. For the first time in my career, I tasted 3 defeats in a row. This was another obstacle on my path I had to overcome. The news broke out that shortly before his 40th birthday, the veteran would test Eric Anders, who was considered to be a rising power with a perfect 10-0 record. Machida opened as a huge underdog. As if the pressure wasn't enough, the event took place in Belém, the Dragon's backyard. Despite all the odds, Lyoto pleased the home crowd with a long-awaited victory. And Anders said goodbye to the precious 0 in the defeat column.
And moving forward there. But here we go, back to the same old story. Body kick from Machida. Machida and a knee. Fires from Lyoto, the Dragon!
Having won for the first time in 3 years, in May 2018, Machida stood across Vitor Belfort. The former champion was far from his peak, coming off a hard-earned win nonetheless. The Dragon spent a whole round mesmerizing the compatriot with feints, in order to seal the deal with a single snap at the right time. Ironically, it was the same Mai Giri Jadan that ended Randy Couture's career, and now Belfort suffered a similar fate. The seasoned warrior's athleticism may have diminished over the years, while the skill remains intact forever.
Lyoto, the Dragon Machida!
The 40-year-old Lyoto had fought out his contract with the UFC. The promotion wanted to renegotiate, but Bellator offered better terms. After 11 years and 24 appearances, the Dragon left the Absolute promotion. In his debut, Lyoto faced the previous belt owner, Rafael Carvalho, who had just lost the title in the last outing. Despite suffering a broken nose in the first frame, Machida continued to push forward daringly, unleashing the versatile kicking arsenal.
His foray in MMA later on that Machida catches Carvalho. Front kick by Machida, Superman.
Abilities.
Machida.
Summoning all the strength and will, the vet clawed out the final 5 minutes and the decision win.
Lyoto, the Dragon!
Getting some traction, the Dragon encountered Chael Sonnen, a part-time prizefighter at that point. The American gangster tried to push the action until Lyoto floored him with a debilitating knee. Sonnen survived to see the next round, but never learned the lesson. Another juicy knockout in the Karateka's collection.
Lyoto, the Dragon!
With this victory, the old dog entered the list of top contenders, only to suffer a series of setbacks. He lost close decisions to old acquaintances, Mousasi, Davis, and Bader, although making good account of himself in these bouts. The real turning point was the loss of the 44-year-old veteran to Fabian Edwards.
Rashad Evans.
He's got it. Steady. Machida's in massive trouble.
Lyoto Machida is a true martial artist in every sense of the word. Coming from a karate background and beating the best of his generation, the traditional martial arts aficionado made the whole world respect his style.
He's getting teed off on. He's down.
Today, the Brazilian's career is close to its conclusion, but no matter what happens next, the Dragon's achievements will undoubtedly have a place in MMA history books. Karate is often written as karate-do. Do is the way, same as in judo. The way is the philosophy. Respect people. Don't step over your principles. Persist, because adversaries will be along the entire way, not only inside the competition, but in your life. Sometimes it doesn't seem that you're going to make it, but you keep going. That's the warrior's way.
Often we see the very technical Machida, and you heard him.
This is going to be over.
He got rocked. Machida swarming in.
Unexpected flurries from the
Nice right leg kick.
Answered in a great combination.
I've talked about it on the air.
He's out.
If you like this video, use your karate skills to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. And most importantly, vote for sport.
This is to throw guys off balance, trying to finish fights, and that's it. That's it.